The first international meeting of Japan and Zimbabwe taking place in the finals of the Rugby World Cup here in Ravenhill Park, Belfast. The Zimbabwean side, they recall Chris Bota to the second row, replacing Darren Muirhead, and Honeywell Nguruve comes back to wing forward, joining Catterall, the number 8, and Brendan Dawson, who scored that fine try in the match they played against Ireland. And behind the scrum, Craig Brown remains at number 10, William Schultz is on the right wing, and captain Brian Curran is at 15 in his 5th international. The Japanese side unchanged from the side which lost to Ireland, including that tiny and fast left wing, Yoshida, so impressive in his matches so far. Horikoshi remains at scrum half. The powerful second row, Hayashi and Oyagi, hoping to get some possession that their backs can use against Zimbabwe. Referee for this game from France, René Hourquet. Conditions absolutely perfect at Ravenhill. No wind, and both sides hoping to score their first victories in the World Cup finals. This a farewell for both sides, because Scotland and Ireland have qualified from this particular group, but both sides hoping to finish on a high note. The Japanese having shown some very good form behind the scrum in their earlier matches. And of course we've seen some very good tries from Zimbabwe as well. So in this final game, in which both sides hoping for a win, you remember in the previous World Cup in 1987, both Zimbabwe and Japan lost all 3 games. So today, barring a draw, we should have a first. The win for Japan would see their first World Cup win. That's a good drive by the Japanese down towards the Zimbabwe 22, coming out to the right wing, Schultz, and now Craig Brown, the fly half for Zimbabwe. Hosokawa, full back for Japan. Couldn't gain any ground with a direct kick to touch, did well. Hosokawa scored all their 9 points in their match against Scotland, today getting his 8th cap for Japan. Brian Beattie, the 22-year-old hooker, throwing for Zimbabwe. Nicely out from Horikoshi. Kutsuki on the break. Hosokawa, the fullback, in support. Back on the Japanese side. They drive towards Zimbabwe's 22. Good work by Japan. That gives you some idea of how evenly they are matched up front. Absolutely level. And if anything, Tifaga is the tallest player on the field. The number 6 for Japan is at about 6'4", just on the far side of the scrum there. But it's Horikoshi putting in, and beautifully set up for Horikoshi once more. Referee getting in the way. Hirao, the captain, giving it out to Yoshida, whose kick coming down towards the goal line. Brian Curran behind his goal line for Zimbabwe, doing well. He needs to get that kick cleared, and Tsimba was offside. Number 13, he was in front of the player in possession. Brian Curran just delayed that clearance. Tsimba was considered to be accidentally offside, and the scrum is to Japan. Just 3 minutes into this final game in the preliminaries of the World Cup finals. Japan inside Zimbabwe's 22. That's out Kutsuki or Hirao. Kajihara in possession for Japan. Horikoshi, Matsuo. This is Kutsuki. Good break by Kutsuki. And the fullback, Hosokawa, just couldn't hold the pass. But what a good break that was by Kutsuki and Hosokawa. But a penalty against Zimbabwe for offside. So a chance for Japan to go in front. And what a good break that was by Kutsuki. Just held his footing long enough to get his pass in, but that might have been a penalty for a high tackle on Hosokawa. The referee has given Japan a penalty for offside in a more favourable position right in front of the posts. So Hosokawa, 2 conversions against Ireland and a try, a conversion and a drop goal against Scotland. Quite a handsome reward in the World Cup for Takehiro Hosokawa. One of the few Japanese players who's mastered the art of place kicking, and he certainly kicked some valuable points for Japan on their way through the qualifying games against Tonga and South Korea. So 4.5 minutes into the game. Hosokawa with this penalty chance, the flags go up and Japan lead 3-0. Good penalty shot by Hosokawa. That's 100%, and we've only had 5 minutes of play. Japan leading 3-0. Oyagi waits as Craig Brown restarts for Zimbabwe. And Hosokawa finds a good touch outside the 22. It was in fact the fly half, Matsuo. So for once, the Japanese players, that's Oyashi. Out to Brown, stretched for it, really didn't run into the pass. So Craig Brown, 23 years of age, he started on the right wing in this tournament. He's now moved into fly half. Horikoshi, chance here for Matsuo. I think the winger could have controlled that. Could have been a lot of trouble for Zimbabwe. Just outside Zimbabwe's 22. Nicely back to Macmillan. Interrupted by Hiral, the Japanese captain. Good break by Hiral. That's the hooker Kunda. Pass was forward as Latu almost had a chance. I'm sure he was convinced he was over, but the whistle gone for a forward pass. So Macmillan, who made that promising break for Zimbabwe, puts in. Craig Brown trying to make room for himself. Kajihara was the one who effected the tackle, and Zimbabwe in all sorts of problems. Alex Nichols in possession, trying to get it back. Macmillan waits. And this time, Brown clears it. Well, Letcher was the one who got the kick in, standing in the out-half position. We've had 7.5 minutes of play. Japan lead a penalty goal to 0. Kunda's throw. Horikoshi takes. Mitsao, the out-half, robbed, knocked it forward really. Brendan Dawson was onto it for Zimbabwe. That's Brendan Dawson. And he'll remember for a long time the try he scored at Lansdowne Road against Ireland. Well, there's some Japanese supporters. Nicely out to Hiral, and that's a good break by the captain, looking, and he's found the fullback Hosokawa in the line. Now Yoshida on the left wing puts a foot in touch. And once more coming out to Yoshida. He's very, very quick. He just couldn't land his opposite number shoots. Horikoshi feeds it out. Matsuo out to the Mashudo on the right wing. Good covering by Zimbabwe, but poor tackling. Horikoshi outside. Ball might have gone forward. Advantage to Zimbabwe. Craig Brown can't take advantage of it. So the referee, Hourquet, awards the scrum to Zimbabwe. Hayashi in that familiar scrum cap. Horikoshi putting in. It's a bit slow. Dawson taking it away for Zimbabwe. Forwards trying to get over it. Good break here by Dawson, still in possession. Gives it inside to Nichols. And number 5 there is Botha. And away comes Japan. And Yoshida, that flyer on the left wing. Couldn't get by Curran. Kicks ahead, finds touch. Well, he really is a flyer. He almost managed to get by Curran, but Curran swallowed him up into touch, but he still got the kick in. That's nicely back to Brown for Zimbabwe, but his kick doesn't find touch. Hosokawa in possession for Japan. That's Brian Curran. And a fine relieving kick by the Zimbabwean captain, Brian Curran. Well, it's been pretty well even, Stephen, so far in the game, and the Japanese 3 points coming from well-taken penalty going by Hosokawa. The number 8, Latu. The referee wasn't straight, so they put into the scrum to be taken by Macmillan. Right on halfway, and Hourquet just trying to get the players to straighten it up. Not a very good heel, and that's an unconventional pass from the scrum half from Zimbabwe. Macmillan kicking it out, Japan onto it, ball knocked forward. And the first knock-on was a Japanese knock-on, so it'll be Zimbabwe to put in once more. All the scrums going in the orthodox fashion so far. Number 8, Catterall trying to make ground. That's Nichols setting it up, and a penalty for going over the top against Japan. The ball being killed, and referees in the World Cup insisting that play continues. And so Asumu Ota, the prop forward, looks to be in a lot of trouble, seems to have gone over on the leg. Just 26 years of age, and he's in his 14th international. And overseeing the repairs is Hayashi as the Japanese subs in the stand. And I could say it's a well-filled stand at Ravenhill. First World Cup game to be played in Belfast. The rugby followers in Belfast, and there are many, have supported this fixture very well. So Ota has recovered, and play brought to the Japanese 22. The first time Zimbabwe have been deep in Japanese territory in this first half. There's 14 minutes gone. Nicely out to Matsuo, the fly half. Well read by the fly half. So Brian Beattie throwing now for Zimbabwe, and you can see that they have won their own throw on the 4 occasions they've had it. Will it be 5 out of 5? Dawson taps down. Nguruve lost it. Knocks it forward, scrum to Japan. So nice scrum by Japan. They've just been turned a little bit. Yoshida, they're looking to bring in the winger Yoshida, and there he is again, not surprisingly. A little bit of excitement every time he gets the ball. Hosokawa passes it out, and that was a good chance for the right winger Matsuo, but he's so disappointed. Look at that little jink, and Yoshida was away, gets by Craig Brown, caught from behind, and then they retained possession, and eventually it came out here, and there was a very good chance there for Matsuo, but he was disappointed, more disappointed than anyone else. So Teranori Matsuo ponders on what might have been, and the 2 Zimbabwean players, Dawson and Nichols, come back. Macmillan puts in for Zimbabwe. Good push by Japan. Craig Brown taking it away for Zimbabwe. Loses possession. Latu got it back for Japan, and that was a bit big for Yoshida. Referee Hourquet letting him go, but he's running out of space. Good support work by Tifaga. Now a chance here for Japan. Kutsuki. Now Matsuo taking on the defense and setting up the maul. Kutsuki out to the fullback, Hosokawa, and now can Yoshida do it this time? Can't link inside. Matsuo, the right wing, on this side of the field, was just hoping that it might be swung across to him. Good break and good work by the Japanese backs. Number 7 at the end of the line for Japan, Kejihara, as Beattie throws. Japan regroup, try to set up the ruck. Horikoshi waits. Matsuo, the fly half. Curran underneath it. Challenged by Kutsuki. Good support work by the right wing Schultz. But a chance here for Matsuo. Will he do it? Can't touch it down. Whistle goes. And the referee, having allowed advantage to Japan, calls it back. But when that ball was spun out here, Matsuo on the right wing had a chance to try and scoop it in, but his momentum was carrying him to the touchline all the while. So, 2 chances Matsuo on the right wing had, and a little bit disappointed with the first one. And another Zimbabwean player over on an ankle, really having the defence stretched, but he was always going to his right and he just couldn't control it. Very nearly got it, but he would have been in touch. The scrum under the Zimbabwean posts, out to Hirao, back inside, and now it comes to Matsuo once more, but this time it's not his own momentum that carries him into touch. Just 19 minutes into the first half. Japan leading 3 points to 0 and piling on the pressure now. BT throwing for Zimbabwe. Nicely back on the Zimbabwean side, but a poor clearance. Comes to Matsuo. Good kick by Hosokawa. Yoshida. Can he make it this time? He's held up. He really does buzz when he gets it. So Yoshida on the left wing, very exciting. Ran onto it well, and he was going for that line, but Curran did well to force him into touch short of the goal line. So from the throw, Japan get a put in, and this could be dangerous for Zimbabwe. Good drive, the number 8 Latu, held up by Zimbabwe, forced across the line. Referee Hourquet from France can't see whether it was touchdown or not. Another scrum for Japan. Number 7 for Japan on this side of the scrum of the back row, Kajihara. Number 8 Latu. They may try something between them. They're trying for the pushover. Good drive by Japan. Latu has it at his feet. Koshiho, the scrum half is in. And the try is given. Horikoshi gets the try that stretches the Japanese lead. Seven points to 0 they lead. A good drive by the pack, and Horikoshi took it away, almost held up by the jersey, but managed to get the touchdown. No doubt about it. Good drive by the Japanese pack, and Masami Horikoshi, although held, managed to get the touchdown. So he'll be very happy with that. His 12th international. Lost his place in the match against Scotland, but came back to play well against Ireland and has retained his place against Zimbabwe and celebrated with that try. Hosokawa to attempt the conversion, and it goes across the face of the posts. No addition to the score, but Horikoshi very pleased with his try. And it was all really set up by the drive from the forwards in the set scrum, and Horikoshi decided that with Zimbabwe disrupted, he might do it on his own, and he did. So into the second quarter of this first half. Hayashi from Japan. It's a fine kick down to Curran. Curran in a bit of no man's land. And that's well caught by Matsuo. Oyagi making progress up to the halfway line. Horikoshi feeds it out. Hirao, the captain, comes to Schultz for Zimbabwe. Big, strong right winger. Still in possession. Now Zimbabwe, with their back line a little bit disjointed, they have to go on the right. That's Macmillan, the scrum half. Hosokawa is back. Tips down for a 22 dropout, but there'll be a penalty against Japan for obstruction. And the referee, in fact, has said Japan were offside. So the chance then for Zimbabwe to open their account. And their kicker, Craig Brown, has certainly shown in the matches we've seen that this is well within his range. Conditions absolutely perfect at Ravenhill. The ground in good order. Quite a good crowd for this final game in Group 2 between Zimbabwe and Japan, who'll be bidding their farewell to the tournament after this game. We've had just 23.5 minutes of play. Craig Brown for Zimbabwe with their first penalty chance, never got hold of it. And Japan retained the lead 7 points to 0. Well, the Zimbabwean side have a few enthusiastic supporters who've travelled a long way to see them in the World Cup finals. That's Hayashi. Horikoshi, the scrum half and try scorer, and the fly half, Matsuo, down to Curran. Not a good clearance from Curran. That's taken by Latu, number 8, on halfway for Japan. Nicely taken away by Duspota. Garvey making progress. And he looks out, and Tsimba has scored. Great work by Zimbabwe. And the star of Zimbabwe's side in the 1987 finals has scored his first try of the World Cup finals, 1991. Good break by Zimbabwe, and Tsimba was there in support. And he's such a fluent runner and tremendously powerful player that given half a chance, there was no way to stop him. Good break this. In fact, it was Nichols, not the try scorer in the front row, Garvey, who made the final pass there to Tsimba, and Tsimba gets the touchdown. Good run by Tsimba, but in order to stop this player, you'd have to be a lot closer than either of the defenders. So Craig Brown to attempt the conversion. This one he's pushed. No change in the score. 7 points to 4. Japan lead. That was a good try for Zimbabwe. Craig Brown, I'd say, disappointed with his kicking so far. And that suggests that this game is going to be very exciting in the second half. Futsal with the drop out. Horikoshi waits. Matsuo passes it on the line. Hirao out to Kutsuki. This is Matsuo on the right wing, trying to find Hirao. Hayashi in support. Horikoshi. And now we have Yoshida. Schultz gets a good tackle in. Oyagi, the big second rower. Back to Horikoshi. Fullback Hosokawa trying to link up with Hirao, and Hayashi was there in support. It was knocked forward, however, and referee Hourquet awards the scrum. And it will be a Zimbabwean put in. Ewan McMillan, the Zimbabwean scrum half. Craig Brown. That's Hosokawa. And there's a net gain there for Zimbabwe that they'll be pleased with. Number 7 at on the right at the back there is Brendan Dawson for Zimbabwe, and just in front of him, Brent Catterall. And Honeywell in Nguruve just in front of him. Now that's untidy from Zimbabwe and gives Japan a chance. Outside the Zimbabwean 22 and Japan in possession. And they're driving it forward. That's good work by Japan. But Zimbabwe just losing their concentration a little bit. And the Japanese forwards driving in so that they can get the momentum and they'll get the put into the scrum. That's Latu, the number 8. Ota, number 1. So Horikoshi puts in. Taken away by Latu. Horikoshi, Matsuo, the fly half. That's Kutsuki breaking close to his forward, setting it up once more for Horikoshi. Matsuo, the fly half. Full back gives it outside, and Yoshida, but it was knocked forward by the right winger Matsuo, but Zimbabwe have been penalised for offside. And quickly taken by Yoshida, the scrum half. Horikoshi not going for the penalty goal. They're still in possession. Oyagi feeds it inside, or it was Tifaga, the tall number 6, setting it up on the Zimbabwean line. Scrum to Japan. So great pressure on Zimbabwe here. We've just had 30 minutes of this first half, and here's a great scoring chance for Japan. Horikoshi puts in, stands away, and Yoshida on the left wing darts in, makes progress towards the goalposts, and that'll make it easier for the goal kicker. Good try. And those supporters are well pleased. Yoshida taking advantage of that little bit of space down the left wing. Beautifully fed out to him by Horikoshi, and Yoshida had that little yard to spare, and then he decided to make progress in towards the posts. Good try. Hosokawa, who kicked their first penalty goal, converts to try. So Japan very pleased with their lead at the moment, and it was nicely taken, fed out well by Latu, and the scrum half then had the room to give Yoshida on the left wing that extra yard, and that's all he needed to run around behind the posts. So that's a more comfortable scoreline for Japan, 13 points to 4. Matsuo, the fly half, will tip down for a 22 dropout. And David Walters didn't seem all that anxious to go up and challenge him. Matsuo with the dropout for Japan, and that rather untidy feedback from Zimbabwe puts them under all sorts of pressure, and Japan set up another attack. Horikoshi looking outside. Hirao, that was Hirao, the captain, kicking on for Yoshida. Good work by Hirao. So Japan inside Zimbabwe's 22, and all that coming from a rather untidy tap down by the Zimbabweans from a Japanese dropout. Beatty throws. Now can Nguruve get it away? It really is a bit indisciplined, but Zimbabwe have a penalty, and a penalty for obstruction. Obstruction in the line-out, and Craig Brown happy to try to kick Zimbabwe out of trouble. Good kick too from inside his 22. He really does get a lot of distance. Short throw, Ayashi, Horikoshi, Matsuo, Hirao, Latu, and he's found Matsuo on the right wing. There was support there. Kutsuki loses it into touch. So Japan piling on the pressure, leading 13 points to 4. Almost 34 minutes into the game, and the familiar face of Hayashi in the line out with his hands raised, and that scrum cap as ever in place. Tap down to Japan, but the referee has seen barging in the line out and another penalty against Japan. Well, they'll be throwing the ball a lot to their number 6, Tifaga, who is far and away the tallest man on the field at about 6'4". And in attempting to protect him at the end of the line-out, the Japanese found guilty of obstruction. So Brown brings play back into the Japanese half. Yoshida. I should say Horikoshi, the scrum half, feeding it out. There he is again, tiny little fellow. Now it's Yoshida on the left wing. Referee says the pass was, the ball was knocked on. And we've seen some passing from the Japanese midfielders, but we've seen rather more knock-ons today than usual. So 5 minutes from half-time. And Zimbabwe once more getting good feed, but it comes to Hayashi for Japan. Feeds it back. Horikoshi, who got the first Japanese try. Good pass. Hirao, the captain, awkwardly out, and Matsuo could be in trouble here. Tsimba, who got a try for Zimbabwe, trying to fight for it, but Japan have it. Horikoshi gets the kick in. Curran puts a foot in touch. That'll be a throw for Japan. So just 5 minutes left in the half, and Japan in control. Hayashi tried to tap it down, but it'll be a penalty against Zimbabwe, and the referee could clearly see the push there, and Japan have opted for a penalty shot. And that gives you an idea of how this game has been going so far. Japan dominating the lineouts really and getting a lot of good possession, which they've used well. And that reflected in the scoreline that we saw just a moment ago. Now, Takehiro Hosokawa, a penalty goal so far, and he's converted one of the tries. Scored by Yoshida, who ran round right behind the posts, and the scrum half, Horikoshi, who nipped in from a scrum on the line. Now, can Hosokawa increase the Japanese lead? Hosokawa's kick, this is good. His second penalty goal. Japanese supporters happy with the scoreline that reads Japan 16, Zimbabwe 4. Coming up towards the half-time break. Craig Brown. And they lengthily returned by Matsuo. And already one can see the Zimbabweans in some difficulty there. As you see, certainly on the territorial advantage, it's been pretty well dominated by Japan. Ishihara at the back of the line. Well won by Catterall for Zimbabwe. Taken on by Nguruve, but Zimbabwe really struggling. They need to get more players in there quickly to get it out. Catterall again, losing possession. Nguruve tries to whip it out, but it was not forward, I think. The referee blows his whistle and awards a scrum to Japan. It was rather untidy stuff there, and Nguruve really wasn't doing anything constructive. Scrum to Japan. Horikoshi. Matsuo. And there's the fullback in the line. Hosokawa tried to link up with Yoshida, and away comes the Zimbabweans. But eventually well cleared to touch by Matsuo. Matsuo, just 19 years of age, and within an ace of scoring in this match against Zimbabwe in the first half. Almost coming to half-time. And again, awkwardly back to the Zimbabwean scrum half, but Japan have been penalised in the line-out, and Zimbabwe may have a shot at goal. Brian Curran, their captain, just coming up and saying to Craig Brown, try and get some points on the board. Well, they have 4. Very good try by Tsimba in the centre after Alex Nichols had sent him away. But the first half really dominated by Japan so far. Horikoshi and Yoshida with their tries, and Hosokawa with 2 penalty goals and 1 conversion, giving their 16 points. 16-4 it is at the moment. Craig Brown with the chance as we go into injury time in this first half to narrow the gap for Zimbabwe. Just halfway between the 22 and the halfway line, 15 metres in from touch. Craig Brown kicks for Zimbabwe, but again pulls it across the face of the posts, and Matsuo tips down for a 22 dropout. It remains 16-4 in injury time in this first half. Matsuo. Ayagi back inside looking for support. Latu gets it back, and now crossed the line, but Hosokawa had his eye on the opposition. Advantage to Zimbabwe. Macmillan, Tsimba, he's got Curran outside him. Looks on the inside option. Once more it's set up, that was Dawson going to ground. Macmillan once more, Tsimba trying to step inside the tackle. Japan now trying to get it into touch. Whistle goes, and it's another penalty against Japan for playing the ball on the ground, I reckon. And once more, Zimbabwe go for a penalty shot. And this time, their captain and fullback, Brian Curran, is going to have a go. Brian Curran in his 5th international. That's Latu, the number 8 for Japan. And I imagine that Hourquet, the referee, will blow for half-time when the ball goes dead after this kick. And some enthusiastic karate supporters, I should imagine, from Belfast cheering on Japan. So Zimbabwe's captain, Brian Curran, with the penalty chance, and once more, like those that Craig Brown has taken, he hit it across the face of the post and wide. All gone dead. The referee does in fact blow his whistle for half-time, and at the end of a half dominated by Japan. They lead with 2 tries to 1. The scoreline: Japan 16, Zimbabwe 4.
the year collectors will remind us that Rugby World Cup and Irish Rugby Football Union souvenirs and memorabilia are on sale in the shop situated in the car park. For your information, program sales for today's game were proposed by members of the Arts City Hockey Club, and we thank them for their efforts.
Referee René Hourquet blows his whistle, and Craig Brown takes the first kick of the second half for Zimbabwe, who trail by 12 points. So the 22 drop out for Japan to be taken by Katsuhiro Matsuo, the fly half. Nicely taken by Nguruve, but it's untidily fed back and putting a lot of pressure on the Zimbabwean players, and it's a penalty against Japan for going over the top. Latu, the man who's conceded the penalty. And it looks as if Craig Brown is going to try and have a shot at goal. He certainly can have the range, and he's now decided that it is going to be a shot at goal. If he gets it right, it'll be no problem for him. And you can see there that there's quite a good crowd at Ravenhill for this final game in Pool 2 of the finals of the World Rugby Cup between Zimbabwe, who have this penalty chance, and Japan. Trying to avoid the wooden spoon in the group. Craig Brown then from 5 meters inside the Japanese half, but once more he's pulled it left and wide. No change in the scoreline, and perhaps he's trying just that little bit too hard. Tends to grab at it. A lot of young supporters at Ravenhill enjoying the 3 tries we've had so far and expecting a few more. Now there's a chance for Chris Botha driving forward, but losing it. Hosokawa in trouble. And that, for a change, was a little bit of indiscipline on the part of the Japanese forwards. and giving Zimbabwe a footing inside the Japanese 22. Number 3 there for Zimbabwe is Adrian Garvey, scorer of 2 tries against Scotland. Beatty throws. Matsuo for Japan, and that's a huge kick into the Zimbabwean half, and the bounce was perfect, almost from his own goal line. Matsuo relieves the pressure on Japan. Very accomplished fly half. In the line-out, a lot of pushing by Japan, and the referee penalises them. Craig Brown for Zimbabwe, doesn't find touch. Yoshida, Hosokawa, and another huge kick up into the Zimbabwean 22. Well-captained play by Craig Brown. Brian Curran returns it, and this is a better one. Steadying it down. Quickly taken by Zimbabwe, or by Japan. Zimbabwe were onto it. Oyagi making progress. Horikoshi out, across the line from Hirao. And there's Matsuo on the right wing. The fullback, Hosokawa, kicking infield. Hirao is onto it. Great effort by Japan, but cleared and saved by Schultz. Right wing for Zimbabwe. 22 dropout. So we've had just 4 minutes of play in the second half. And suddenly Zimbabwe exposed once more. Craig Brown. This time controlled by Japan. Ota in possession, being driven forward towards the Zimbabwean 22. Ota, having passed on the ball, rejoins the rolling maul. Horikoshi, Matsuo knocks it on, but Zimbabwe were offside. Penalty to Japan. Now, will they run this or take it quickly? But if you can do some translations, that was telling fullback Hosokawa to have a shot at goal. And this is where they very nearly added to their score as they raced up onto that. Schultz just getting the touchdown to save Zimbabwe. It was a good movement by Japan, moving up the right wing, and then the cross kick infield almost gave Japan a try. And one of the Zimbabwean players requiring attention, and the referee Rennie Hourquet there to oversee the running repairs. So we've had just 6 minutes of this second half, and there will take his place. I think it's Alex Nichols who's recovered, but the penalty is for Japan. Every credit to Zimbabwe, who have only a playing population of 1,000 in something like 42 clubs, and they have restructured and rebuilt their game since independence in 1980, and they really have come a long way with a very full and integrated side. Now they're in the World Cup finals, but trailing Japan 4 points to Japan's 16. Hosokawa attempting to increase Japan's lead. There must be something about those posts, across the face of the posts and wide. So that was an uncharacteristic error from Hosokawa as Craig Brown restarts. Hosokawa in possession again. Matsuo driving forward, setting it up for Horikoshi. Hosokawa joining the line, testing kick this for Curran, but it crossed the touchline without a bounce. Line out, back outside the 22. 7 minutes into the second half. No change in the halftime scoreline. Number 7 for Japan, Kajihara at the back of the line. And the tall Tifaga just in front of him, number 6. Well won by Zimbabwe. Craig Brown launches fine clearance back into the Japanese half. That was a better kick from the converted winger, now playing at fly half and playing quite well. But you can see Brown has not passed the ball once from the 8 received, and Matsuo very anxious to get on with the passing for Japan. In the line out, Japan concede the penalty. Once more, they've been penalised quite a lot in the line out. And it seems that Craig Brown is going to have a shot at goal with the drop goal, but he hasn't called the... No, he's going to launch a Garryon. He hasn't called the touch judges in. Kajihara, beaten by the bounce. And Latu, the number 8, did well for Japan. Curran keeps it in play for Zimbabwe. Now he could run into no man's land here. He'd want to get a kick in fast. Schultz takes it on the scissors. Gets by Matsuo. Schultz tapped there by Kajihara's hand trip. Now Horikoshi, scrum half. And the ball is controlled now by Japan. Japan wait before feeding it back. Can they get any momentum going in that rolling ball? It's there for Horikoshi, but he doesn't want it yet. Now, Horikoshi, Matsuo. Nicely to the fullback, Hosokawa. Yoshida, score of one of the tries. He really has magnificent footwork. Now, can Japan generate some forward momentum instead of going across field? Oyagi from the second row. That's Hirao. That's Tifaga. And you had Yoshida out there on the right wing, and it's still going on. Matsuo. Hirao. And at last, Matsuo, the right winger, pops up on the left wing and rounds off the movement. Good try. Matsuo stretches the lead. $20 points to 4, Japan in front. Well, that really was a fine passing movement, and when it eventually came across the line, they really had outstretched the Zimbabwean defence, and all Matsuo had to do was catch it and tip it down. So Matsuo really puts Japan out of reach, I should imagine. And Hosokawa, who's preparing to take the kick, has to wait while the injured player receives attention. Great piece of work this by Japan. They brought the ball right up the right-hand side, and then it was whipped across from Kutsuki out to Matsuo, and he was in for a simple try. Meanwhile, the conversion attempt to be taken, and Hosokawa makes no mistake, his second conversion, and Japan move further out of Zimbabwe's reach. You won't get an easier kick at goal than that one. So that was a fine try, and certainly the large crowd at Ravenhill enjoying the spirited performance of the Japanese. First time Zimbabwe and Japan have ever met at international level. from the kickoff. Tipped down for a 22 drop out. Hosokawa gives it back to Matsuo, the fly half, not to be confused with the try scorer Matsuo. That's Brent Catterall, who played for NIFC here in Belfast last season. But that tackle on the number 8, he really felt by Hayashi. There he is, well used to Ravenhill. Horikoshi. Yoshida, can he go it all the way? Links outside, finds Hirao, the captain. Feeds it back once more. Horikoshi decides not to give it to a prop, and it's intercepted by his opposite number, Macmillan. That's Nichols for Zimbabwe, but Japan go over the top, and it's a penalty to Zimbabwe. 13.5 minutes into the second half. Alex Nichols in his 8th international for Zimbabwe. And can Catterall get something going here? That's Garvey, and they really are in all sorts of trouble on their own 22. The ball is there to be won, and they'll want to clear it, and clear it quickly. Macmillan grounded, and Japan sealing them off. And Ravenhill Park at the moment just strewn with bodies, as play will have to be held up, and I think Brent Catterall will have to receive attention out in the middle of the field. Dawson, number 7, is down on the 22. So another long stoppage, and that looks like Brent Catterall. Dawson making progress there, and it was in this situation here that the Japanese were penalised and play held up. In fact, we can see now that number 8 is Brent Catterall. He was the injured player in midfield, and it gives us an opportunity to remark on the fact that Brent Catterall did play with North of Ireland Football Club here in Belfast in last season, and well used to his the atmosphere here in Ravenhill. But it's seldom that Ravenhill is seen as many spectators as it has today. Of course, when Ulster have played visiting touring sides in recent years, the ground has been well filled, but I doubt that it's ever been filled to such capacity for a match not involving Ulster players. .5 minutes into the second half. Nicely out to Hirao, and here's Yoshida once more. Oh, great little run by Yoshida. Can he make a second try? He gets it down. Great try by Yoshida, and in fairness, I think he owes Takura a little nod of thanks, because it was Takura's weight which forced him down over the line. But Yoshida has made his second try. Nice passing here, flipped on by the fullback Hosokawa, and then look at this for footwork. And then when he got to the line, the number 3 was there with him to make sure he got the touchdown. Nicely fed out. Matsuo, then it came across, and Hosokawa just tipped it on. Yoshida there, wrong-footing the defence, and Craig Brown just couldn't hold him up. And certainly not so when Takura added his weight. So Yoshida makes it 2 tries, and Japan now lead by 26 points to 4. Hosokawa with the conversion. 17 minutes into the second half. And now that's a very good kick all the way. His 3rd conversion. and that's a good scoring average, 5 from 7. Well, look at how the fullback, when it comes out to him here from the captain, Hirao, he just flicked it on there as he was tackled. And Yoshida, coming in off the left leg, had the defence wrong-footed, and then he had enough strength to push him towards the line, and the prop forward made it certain. Good try by Yoshida, his second of the game, and Japan's fourth. That's the scoreline as Zimbabwe restart. Nguruve trying to make progress up to the 22. Standing out, takes it again. Back into the scrum half, but the referee has seen a knock on, and he's going to give the penalty to Zimbabwe for offside. And now Zimbabwe decide, rather than trying to put points on the board, they're going to try and get the points from tries. Good little break. This by Macmillan. Now he's found Curran, the fullback and captain. Can Curran make it to the line? And it's over. And Nguruve, the wing forward, has got over for Zimbabwe's second try. Just 19 minutes into the second half, and Ravenhill rises to Honeywell and Nguruve, the wing forward. This was a good run, certainly by the scrum half, Macmillan. Curran was there in support and got it to the line, and as the ball went free, Nguruve, the wing forward, picked it up and got the touchdown. Nice work. Poor tackling by Japan, one would have to say, but Macmillan took full advantage of it. Curran was there in support, and so was Nguruve, the wing forward. Good try. Now Brian Curran to try to convert the try. And once more it's pulled left and wide. And it remains 28-8. Japan leading 28 points to 8. And Honeywell here will be very pleased with his effort here as Macmillan dummied his way through the rather poor tackling from Japan. Found Curran in support. And just look, as the ball was made available, Nguruve was over. The big lad, hard to stop. Took 3 of them, but it was still a try. That's the score then. And we're into the final quarter of the game. Matsuo passes it out. Kutsuki on the burst. And he was looking for Yoshida. Back into Matsuo, the fly half. Flag goes up. Nice play by Japan. And the 2 wings switching from right to left, supporting each other. Horikoshi's pass out. Hirao, captain, to ground. Hayashi feeds it back. Horikoshi. Latu is outside him, but he goes back in for the support of the rest of the forwards. They need a scrum half. Latu passes it out. And here's a chance for Matsuo, the other wing. And he's in. His second try. And they're really now showing how dangerous they are once they get up a bit of speed. Good play by Japan. Well, the ball was whipped out very speedily here, and Matsuo on the right wing just had the legs on any cover and was in for the try. Well, there's Interesting that he kept the ball in his left hand, was quite confident that he didn't need that left hand to hand off any defenders, had the pace to carry him over. So we've had 5 tries for Japan, 2 for Zimbabwe, and that can't be bad for an October afternoon. Hosokawa, and he too has pulled it across the face of the posts. All the kickers today having difficulty. And there's Matsuo with the memory of that try firmly implanted in his mind, and not surprisingly. Matsuo, the fly half, sending him on his way. The fullback Hosokawa was also in the movement, but it was nicely rounded off by Matsuo. Good try. 23 minutes gone in the second half. 32 points to 8. Japan very much in control, as they are in this loose ball just inside their own half. Now can they bring it all the way upfield? They've learned this rolling ball well. Tifaga making progress, and there's the scrum half again. Looks outside, but a good intercept by Walters for Zimbabwe. And Tifaga goes straight into Walters, and looks as if Walters may have hurt his shoulder. The referee telling Tifaga that he shouldn't have ducked in as he did. We can see it again here. So he put a foot in touch. Well, now, it's difficult to know whether Tifaga was at fault there. He just leaned into the opposition. And if anything, Walters might have been accused of not going in low. So David Walters, just 22 years of age, will have learned something like that. When you're going in against a big lad like Tifaga, you go in around the ankles. But Tifaga, or at least Walters, looks in a lot of trouble as we come to the 26th minute of this second half. So the powerful figure of Tifaga is a formidable man to take on. The tallest player on the side, there he was. He was covering back, and when he got possession, he decided just to, having put a foot in touch, just to protect himself, and he leaned into the challenge of Walters, and Walters unfortunately seems to have hurt his shoulder badly. Rather gingerly picking himself up, but the doctor just testing, and it seems that Walters will have to retire. The whistle goes in the line out, free kick against Japan. And the substitute will be Bedford Tsimba, if he should be required. Good effort by Zimbabwe. They're just down to 14 men for the moment, and they found a footing in the Japanese 22. And now Bedford Tsimba ready to come on. Referee waiting to call him on, and Zimbabwe down to just the 14 players at the moment. The question is whether Walters can continue or not. Meanwhile, the Japanese player is down injured, and play has to be held up. So, in fact, Walters will return, and Tsimba won't get his chance to play in the World Cup finals just yet. So happily, Walters' injury not too serious. It's come to Japan inside the 22. Horikoshi finds touch. We've had 27 minutes of the second half. Japan leading 32 points to 8. Brian Beattie checking for the throws, and Japan have won 11, 9 of them clean. So the lineouts have been pretty well shared, but the quality of possession that Japan have been getting from the lineouts so much better. Alex Nichols grounded severely, Dawson in possession having to give ground, supported by Nguruve, but Nguruve fouled, and referee René Hourquet is going to talk to Oyagi, and Oyagi has been told that he was guilty of stamping. Hirao, the Japanese captain, understands, and the penalty is against Japan. And one of the Zimbabwean players down injured, so there will be a stoppage. And we see the incident there. Number 5 is the one who is blamed. Now, the referee said he was the one who is guilty of stamping, and I'm not altogether sure that I saw the foot going down, but that's what referee René Hourquet said. Well, the foot was up, and it was probably dangerous play rather than stamping. But off the field goes Adrian Garvey, and Zimbabwe now down to 14 men, but they've given it to Schultz from Botha. The ball was knocked forward. It's come to Japan. Big Chris Botha doing well out in the middle of the field. So the number 8, Brent Catterall, goes in as reserve prop for the moment. Nicely out from Kutsuki, and away once more goes Matsuo into Zimbabwe's 22. Schultz covering, good counter this by Zimbabwe. Kick goes across the touchline without a bounce, no ground gained. And the reserve prop coming on in place of the injured Adrian Garvey. Chippy Roberts. Kashihara for Japan. Matsuo, the fly half. This is Kutsuki into the 22. He'll go it on his own. Kutsuki's in. That's a good try. Good break by Kutsuki. And he had the speed and power, having established the break, to carry it on and do it on his own. Nice, quick, firm passing. The defense stretched, and Kutsuki was able to get away from the tackle, and there was no doubt about it. Nicely back from the first phase, and that little shimmy took him outside the defense, and he was home free. So Echi Kutsuki gets yet another try from Japan. For Japan, 31 minutes into the second half. Hosokawa with yet another attempt at conversion, but this one too is pulled across the face of the post and wide. No addition to the score. The quality of place kicking today, not very satisfactory, nothing like the running. And Kutsuki here, just that little shimmy took him outside the arms of the defense, and he was clear through. Good try. Classic center try. And I think that fairly represents the quality that we've had from Japan. If all the passing was like that, however, it wouldn't be very satisfactory. Hirao, the Japanese captain. Oh, this is a good break up to halfway. Gets to Curran, gets by Curran. What a good break by Hirao. And support on the inside from Japan. They're still going on. And the number 8 is in for the try. Is it the number 8? I think it's Oyagi. But a tremendous effort by Japan. All to do with Hirao, the captain. Right upfield, a beautiful run. And yet another try. As he passes it inside. Oyagi gives it outside. And there, in fact, is Tifaga, the big wing forward. And he's the one who gets the touchdown. Any one of those four. So we've had 33 minutes on the stopwatch. And this try really should be credited to Hirao, the captain. The good support work from Oyagi, first of all. And as it's taken on, the ball eventually made available for Tifagi, who is in for that try. Now, Tifaga has got his try, and Hosokawa will attempt the conversion. And at last he's found the range. Great effort from Tifaga in support. But Hosokawa gets another conversion, and we can have a look at the captain's break here, Hirawa. Beautiful run up to the halfway line. He took on Curran, his opposite number, got by him, and look at the support inside. The two second rowers were there. Oyagi it was who passed it on, and there was Tifaga bursting up towards the goal line and stretching over to get the touchdown. (42-8), and we have about 6 minutes left in the game. (22) drop out to be taken by Matsuo. Now, can Zimbabwe get a try? Macmillan kicking for Schultz. And Hosokawa calls for the mark and gets the free kick. Seven tries for Japan, 2 for Zimbabwe. Japan really taking over in the second half. They led 16 points to 4 at half-time. Now they really piled it on in the second half. And that's the situation we have now. Determination on the faces of the Japanese forwards. Dawson taps down. Nguruve loses it going forward, so Hayashi picks up for Japan. Scrum to Japan, and that tells its own story. Japan dominant territorially and dominant on the scoreline. 7 tries to 2, and there may be more as it comes to Yoshida. Didn't knock it on, and the crowd love him. But he lost possession, knocked it on. Scrum to Zimbabwe. He's only 5'4". The scrum half is even smaller. But he certainly has plenty of strength, as he showed in getting his second try. Possession. The quality of the possession, however, for Japan has been so much better for them. And Zimbabwe's possession has been rather scrappy, and they haven't really used it all that well. That would be credited as a scrum, but they're really going back. Macmillan did well, but the pass inside, not all that good. Beattie trying to make progress. Now Yoshida to show his paces. Dawson trying to cut him off and succeeding, but not before he got in a kick. And Matsuo is onto it for Japan, and he might get his third try. Down goes Schultz. Where's the ball? There it is. Good try for Japan. And the fullback, Hosokawa, is up in support. And they get their 8th try. Was it Hosokawa or was it the fly half? It really is great work by Japan. Good try. Suddenly available, and would you believe the ball kicked there for the centre, Kutsuki, who's got his 2nd try. Hosokawa was in position, ready to take it should Kutsuki have missed, but Kutsuki doesn't miss those chances. $46-8. Hosokawa attempting the conversion, but not successful. Well, it was very difficult for the defense. Schultz didn't quite know where the ball had gone, and there was Kutsuki to run onto it and get over for the touchdown. They don't come simpler than that. $46-8. Japan heading for a very satisfactory finale to their participation in the World Cup finals. And away they come again. This is Matsuo, the right winger. Kachihara gives it out. And Yoshida, Schultz has him. Good tackle. They really do enjoy their chances to run the ball. Macmillan away for Zimbabwe. Very high tackle by Yoshida. And now the Japanese under a little bit of pressure as the ball is knocked forward from Zimbabwe. And the referee is going to have a word with Yoshida and Macmillan. And Yoshida was the one who actually came in very high on Macmillan. And you can see as Macmillan came away, Yoshida really came from nowhere. And that really is not the sort of tackle that is allowable. And away comes Kutsuki once more. Hosokawa going to go it on his own, or will he give it to Matsuo? And that's good covering by Zimbabwe, but it's in touch. As we go into injury time. Good work by Matsuo, but Schultz had a good tackle. The long throw from Zimbabwe is not straight, and the referee is going to ask them to take it again, I think. Japan with 6 tries in the second half so far, really taking absolute control of this final game in Pool 2. So Zimbabwe's throw, Beattie the thrower. This could be awkward as it goes over the line. It's a penalty against Japan. So Zimbabwe with 2 tries in the game by Tsimba and Nguruve, the wing forward. Disappointed that they have allowed Japan to dominate the second half so well and so conclusively. And maybe they have another try as Matsuo, the fly half, is in. Matsuo rounds it off. And that brings up the magic 50 for Japan. 50 points to 8 they lead. 7 tries in the second half, and that was a nice little break by the fly half that had the Zimbabwean defence totally on the wrong foot. That inside break, no cover from the forwards. Brent Catterill couldn't get to him, and Matsuo was in. And Hosokawa adds the goal points, and the referee blows his whistle. It's all over, and Japan have beaten Zimbabwe by 52 points to 8. Well, what a fine performance by the Japanese as they bid their farewell to the World Cup finals here at Ravenhill. Hayashi, their experienced former captain, number 4 there, and the Japanese team celebrating, and how pleased they are with that performance. So it's farewell Japan, but against Scotland and against Ireland they showed their potential, and then today against Zimbabwe they were totally on top, having led at half-time 16 points to 4. They took control and ran in those 7 second-half tries. Some scintillating passing, some very good running. They used their possession well, they controlled it well, and they will enjoy the memory of all those tries. Tifaga getting his one, Kutsuki getting 2 tries in the second half, the little left winger Yoshida getting 1 in each half. And there's the summary of the scores that gave Japan their 52 points. Hosokawa, the fullback, 5 conversions and 2 penalties. Horikoshi, 1 try. Yoshida, 1 try in each half. First one easy, second one he had to dive and use his strength to get over. Matsuo getting 3 tries on the right wing. Kutsuki in the centre, that simple try at the end giving him a second one. And Tifaga supporting his players well. That fine break by Harao giving him the opportunity to get in for that try. And Tsimba and Nguruve getting the 2 tries for Zimbabwe.